live from the Purple Cow Branding Studios.
Welcome to Network Today. I'm Cheryl Powers.
I'm Rob Bliss.
And we're here to take you from meeting people to
making money.
That's right. We're going to help you do it faster. And today is kind of a high level conversation. A lot of times we're pretty tactical. This one's pretty high level in regards to its quality a person needs to have, right?
And I've had a mindset change on this one. Yes.
Transformation. Evolution happening right here on the set. And the topic is reciprocity, which is one of my words of the week from several weeks ago.
Right.
Because I just love how the word sounds. Reciprocity. I don't know. It sounds like
I can't say it. I can't spell it either.
That's right. So reciprocity, meaning favors are given, exchanged, or whatever. Right. Do you have a definition there that you'd like to share in your notes?
Oh, in my notes?
Yeah. Remember you just reading the definition.
Right. Would be the mutual or cooperative interchange of favors or privileges as when action taken for the benefit of others are returned in kind.
That's right. So we're looking to give first.
Right.
In kind, meaning you're giving without getting.
Right.
But then that favor is returned. It comes back to you. But sometimes it might come back to you. You might have to go through 12 other people before it makes full circle back to you, but it will, right?
Right.
So,
well, there's just think about it as, we don't have any expectations when we're helping people. We're just doing that for as a gift to them.
That's right. We shouldn't have expectations,
right?
Right. If we want to live in that world of reciprocity.
But that's where I've had the mindset, because you go back 20 years ago when I started networking. Boy, I worked hard at giving people leads, but boy, I wanted to get something back. That was my mindset. I give you a lead, I want something back. I did that for many years in the beginning, and now, and I was trying to figure out when that transformation happened, and it was several years back. But I just love it though, because again, it's the gift of helping people out. I love helping people, and that when you give them a lead, you give them a connection, you give them some advice. Right. That, it has an impact on their business, on themselves personally. I love that.
Yeah, I do too. And people ask me, so how do you make money doing all of this networking stuff? I said, it just comes back to me. So it just sooner or later, 90% of the people, reciprocity back, but the 10% more than make up for it.
Absolutely.
More than make up for it. So I wanted to tell you something that I found. I love to Google just subject matters and see what comes up when we're on a topic. And so I Googled reciprocity in networking. And this came up on, is it Harvey Mackay Academy?
I love Harvey Mackay.
You do?
Oh, I've got his.
I don't know who Harvey Mackay is.
We've got 4 books in Rob's library. Harvey Mackay, I'm sending you home
with some homework. Well, so he gives this acronym RISK. So I know a lot of people like acronyms because it makes it a little easier. So RISK. And this acronym stands for reciprocity, interdependency, sharing, and then keeping at it. I thought, that's what you have. You have it there?
I did the same one.
I knew you were excited. I'm like, I'm here turning the pages. You're like, I'm going to get back there. So the risk is a great way to just remember how the reciprocity works. So reciprocity, interdependency. So we're what does interdependency mean to you?
The ability to work with somebody.
Okay.
You're working together. You're brainstorming together. It's not just you, not just them.
Okay. So reciprocity would really apply to power teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
So working within your power team, the reciprocity should be happening, or you need a new power team. So need to excommunicate one of those power team members. Sharing, and then keeping at it. That tenacity, the follow-up that needs to happen continuously.
A must, yet it's so hard to do. I mean, I have to work on that constantly, the follow-up side of it. But it's necessary.
So, and this is interesting that there are, and I'm so blessed, we're so honored to have people who tell me that they're binging the Network Today shows so that they can get better, and they say it's really helping them.
Yeah, that's great.
Isn't that awesome?
Wow.
That's given back to me. right?
Well, it's helping me. It's great. I love preparing for these, and then you get another opportunity to listen to the show again. I'm learning so much from it.
That's right. And I bring it up because when we get to this K part of the risk, the keep at it, it reminds me why we do this over and over and over again on Friday afternoons when we're exhausted, or in the middle of the week when we need to do a makeup show or whatever, right? Because it does come back to us, and then we get that amazing feedback. Yeah. It just gave me a big old hug. So we have an outstanding guest, an expert for sure in reciprocity, even written a book that I think would really speak to that subject.
Oh, one of my favorite books, The School of Intentional Living.
Yes. So Sean is going to be with us shortly, but before we get to Sean, we're going to give you our Grand Slam, which is our success story of the week, coming up next.
A small business is still a business. At Purple Cow Branding, we want to help you execute your greatest visions for your company. Purple Cow works for small businesses that don't have big budgets to spend on their marketing efforts. Inquire now at purplecowbranding.com to be the biggest little guy around. Purple Cow Branding, much more than digital marketing.
All right, so Grand Slam time.
My favorite part.
I know.
I got a good one this week for you.
Okay, you're going first.
I'm going to go first. Sorry, I keep on doing that to you. I know it.
It's all right.
Yeah, but I get so excited. Just like at Christmas time, as a kid when you want to run downstairs.
The present unwrapper first. Yeah. Okay, yes.
But, this week, our guest, Sean, I got to talk about him.
Okay.
He's part of my success story today is that, I met Sean just a few months ago. He gave me his great book to read, which I love. I'm in it for the second time. But the thing about it was the reciprocity fits him to the T, because I gave him a lead, which turned into a sale. And then he was so thankful, so grateful that he kept on saying, Rob, I've got to get something for you. And I said, no, hey, it's reciprocity. It doesn't mean that it'll come soon. It'll come whenever it comes, whenever the timing is right. And then boom, like a few weeks later, he gave us Purple Cow Branding an opportunity to video a group session of his for his business. So again, it was so neat to see him. He was so grateful on one side, but then again, but that's why I said the power of reciprocity is the fact that you don't have to, get something back. So it's a great, just a great story.
Yeah, that is a great story. I love it. So mine comes from, so we talk about Mid-Market Professionals Dallas. We every month, right, feeding into that, and then that spawns the Mid-Market Professionals Call-In. Yay! And so I go to one of those events several months ago, meet a lovely gal, Michelle. I hope I get her name pronounced correctly. It's Haugh, Hoff, I think is how I pronounce it, with Early HR. And we have a really quick, fast one-on-one before the next Mid-Market Colin. And it's one of those where we're like, we're running out of time. We got 37 minutes. And, it was like a speed one-on-one. Right. But somehow out of that, she then emails. So just note to self, this is one of the things I do on my one-on-ones to help make it a little more tactical and give it some teeth. And that's I do a follow-up email with just a quick little recap of what I do, with some links, right? So then she comes back to me. I send that after our one-on-one, and then she comes back to me and says, hey, Sheryl, I think I've got a client that you should talk to. So we actually so she opened up her book of business, let me get on a web call with one of her clients to present our services. And that's just what an honor to be able to do that, because that's her name at the end of that rainbow, right? So it's Michelle Inc. And the fact that she allowed me that opportunity to share what we do with her client. And I don't know if it will make sense. I don't know where it's going to go, but the opportunity was all I needed, right? That's all I want. Yeah. And man, so Michelle, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. So when we come back, Sean Rosensteel.
Are you having trouble with your VoIP phone system? Smart Office USA to the rescue. We're a local company here in DFW with real people, certified technicians, and we even come to your office to help you. Smart Office USA, representing the #1 VoIP phone system on the planet. And we are right here in DFW, ready to help you. Call us 214-272-0921 or go to www.smartofficeusa.com.
All right, we're here. We're here with
Mr. Sean Rosensteel.
Boom! Oh my gosh, this is going to be a good time. Were you ready for a good time?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Well, I can't wait to talk to Sean because this subject today is one of my favorite subjects, especially when it comes to, increasing our networking, becoming better networkers.
That's
what
right.
a subject. And, I just finished reading Sean's book, which is outstanding. Let me give you a little plug here. The School of Intentional Living, an incredible book. I encourage everyone to go to Amazon and get it.
That's right. Well, okay, so my bio is done. I'm just kidding. No, so he is an EOS implementer. So he's amazing. You need to catch him online, in person. He's amazing. But I didn't know this. So I have to bring this up just quickly. I don't want to drown us in this, but dinked.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
Yeah. So my son wanted to start making money earlier this year. He was 8 and he thought about all sorts of business ideas. I tend to play a lot of pickleball. And one day he was out there with me and there was a gal who came off the court and she had a really fun pickleball shirt on. So I asked her where she bought it. She said, I think I got it from Amazon, but it's no longer available. And my son came up with the idea to sell pickleball t-shirts, which is pretty neat. So he is now 9, but he's a little an e-commerce entrepreneur.
Oh,
and he
that
gets
is so
to claim
awesome.
earned income this year and open up a Roth IRA now. And he gets to basically benefit from 51 and a half years of compound interest. So he's learning a lot this year.
Oh, my
so
goodness.
We're very proud of him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of him. I don't even know him. I'm proud of him. 2 T-shirts ordered for Christmas from a Pickleball Peoples.
There
That's
you go.
awesome.
Yeah, and I get
love
to be
that.
the billboard, so I play a lot. So I just wear the shirts.
So what's the website so we can go to it?
It is dinked, dinked.co.com was taken. They won like 10 grand. And my son's like, well, let's get it, Dad. I'm like, it's a lot of t-shirts. It's too many.
That's your Roth
$2
IRA
profit per shirt. It's too
That's
many,
right.
kiddo.
All right.
That's right. Okay. Wonderful. Well, we felt like Sean was just the perfect person to talk on this topic. Well, because he said, can I talk on this topic? So that would be why. That would be
Because
right.
I said no to the first one you said.
That's right. That's right. So reciprocity, I did just recently learn how to spell this thanks to spell check. So reciprocity, and it's a really broad term. So we kind of narrowed this down. So Sean, you came to us and said, hey, can I talk on reciprocity? What component of reciprocity as it applies to networking? Because that's the show, Network Today. What do you say in your mind is the application to networking for reciprocity?
For me, the law of reciprocity has always been sort of my #1 networking strategy. And it's a strategy where you can feel really good about at the end of the day. Sort of giving in as much as you can and expecting nothing in return and just trusting that the universe at some point in time, karma, will sort of deliver things back to you in spades. So I'm not a huge fan of networking. Thanks to you both, I'm becoming more of a fan of it because you're teaching me so much about the right ways and the wrong ways to do it. But for me, I've always showed up to these events. I think initially 20 years ago, I would show up and I would be all nervous and it was all about me. Like, what am I going to say and what's in it for me? And then at some point in time, maybe after reading The Go-Giver by Bob Burg, one of my top 5 favorite business books of all time, I shifted, I think, my mindset around networking, and I would show up at these events saying, instead of what's in it for me, how may I serve? Who here can I pour into and contribute to, and whose life can I make a little better today? So I'd sort of go in there without the spotlight on me, but more about the spotlight on them. And to me, that's the law of reciprocity. I think it can be used in a very good, healthy, positive way, but it can probably also be looked at in a negative way, like, well, I gave you something and now it's time for you to give me something, right? So,
right. I mean, that's the point, Sean, because I think when I started networking back in the 90s and so on, that really was the philosophy of networking.
that was before the internet.
Yeah, that was before the internet.
We still have bank phones. Yeah.
But you had to. The whole big deal was, I give you something, I got to get it back. Otherwise, boom,
That's
I
right.
cross you off the list.
Yeah.
So I did that kind of for years. And my wake up call though was reading Bob Burg's book, The Go-Giver, and then recently, probably about a year ago, Adam Grant's. The book there was Give and Take. And then I've been a big fan of Harvey Mackay.
Okay.
And so those three guys really kind of gave me that change the networking mindset, where then it was just the law of reciprocity, what you're talking about. So, but still today, though, we still find those people that want to get first.
Sure.
Yeah. And here's one of the things I really want to make sure that we're clear on, because I think reciprocity is one of those words that can just kind of like blow by us. Like we don't really think about the meaning of it. So here is the meaning, according to, if you want to go to study.com and look up reciprocity and how it applies to business and other applications. So it's at least two entities mutually agreeing to something that would be monetary or non-monetary. That's really important too, because some people might have the thought that reciprocity means I'm going to give money, so money comes back to me.
Right. What's my ROI?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, but in regards to networking, it's I'm going to pour into somebody that will come back to me, and it may not be immediately money.
Right.
And that's hard for some people to stomach.
Right.
The reciprocity rule.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I learned a long time ago from Tony Robbins, the secret to living is giving. And I think that's true. You know, I just want to go out there and do what I do and do what I love and feel good about what it is I'm pouring into.
Yeah.
So for me, reciprocity really is expecting nothing in return, even though I know that the universe will provide eventually at some point.
Yeah.
A perfect example of that is I went to a networking event a few months ago for the first time. And I'm newer to the area, as you both know.
From
Chicago. And the Cowboys just beat up on my Bears a few weeks ago.
So
I'm not
sad.
happy about that. But I went to this networking event in Allen and saw Rob there. So I still get a little nervous at these events. So I ran up to Rob and I'm like, Rob, who do I need to know here? Who can you introduce me to? So I leaned on Rob and all of his connection expertise, and he introduced me to one person there. And that one introduction led to a client a couple of weeks later. So now I'm sitting here constantly thinking, how can I pour back into Rob? And how can I return that favor? So it's very powerful.
Because it's a big favor.
But you know what? But the thing too, Sean, what I love about networking, again, is yes, number one is getting to know you. Number two, you introduced me to your book, which I just love. Number three is the future. We get an opportunity to think about how we can help each other and other people within our community.
That's right.
So again, it's the big picture when we talk about reciprocity.
Absolutely.
It is. I also think, so the show's all about taking you from meeting people to making money faster, right? Because I think part of the issue with reciprocity, it sounds nice. That's a really fluffy word, right? Oh, it makes me feel good, all warm, but where's the money, right? So I think it's important to remember that reciprocity does come back to you, and it may not be immediate, but as long as you're living intentionally, like to the point of your book, and networking intentionally and intentionally thinking like Rob is now top of mind for you, right? To intentionally give something back to him.
Right.
And that is part of the whole giving process. And not everybody's intentional.
Right.
Have you poured into something, a situation where you're like, I really felt strongly about this. This is where I wanted to go, but it didn't come back to you.
Right.
And maybe for a long time. Did that happen?
I think it's all about not keeping score.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
So
a good way to say that. Good way.
Yeah. I don't think reciprocity is about keeping score.
Okay.
I just think it's about putting your belief, faith, and trust in this law. It may not be from, maybe it's a connection I make to Rob that makes that introduction or does business with him. That it doesn't have to be me directly.
Right.
So there could be indirect reciprocity involved at some future date. And I've always found that patience pays.
Okay.
So it's not about getting something back to Rob today. It's about keeping Rob on my radar screen because it's human nature, right? Reciprocity, there's a psychology component involved, and it's human nature that if you do something for me, I almost have this obligation. I feel an obligation to return the favor. We're reciprocal human beings. It's just human nature.
That's right.
Right.
Well, and when we give out of that place of, hey, I'm not looking for anything back, certainly instantly, sometime I know it will come back to me. There comes a void, right? And so it does seem like the law of gravity or whatever would pull something back to you to help fill that void.
Yep.
But it's just, it is waiting to get there. And one of the things I hear from, and tell me if I'm the only one who's heard this from networkers, I'm not going there anymore because I haven't gotten any leads. I mean, I hear that way too often.
all
I'm
the time.
out because I
All
don't
the
get.
time.
Well, and then you have to ask yourself or them, like, hey, person who's not happy with the leads you're getting, how many are you giving?
Yeah.
Like, what are you pouring into that?
Yeah, but that's a what's in it for me mindset,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Versus a how may I serve
You're the
mindset.
taker at that point.
Yeah.
You know, you're not the giver. And I think, again, it's changing the mindset. And that's what Sheryl and I want to be doing on our program here. But, we see it so often still, and it is amazing. But, what I like to throw out there, too, is that we've really got to create that positive mindset with, through affirmations, through visualization, so that, again, that we have that big picture in mind so that the law, that karma will come back, back to us. But again, it's that every day of just going out there and doing good for people.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think for me, one of the goals of networking is to stay top of mind with people.
Yeah.
So that when they hear of an issue during a conversation, whatever it is, you pop into their mind.
That's right.
And it goes back, I don't remember who said this, but people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And by giving
That's true.
and pouring into people and listening, actively listening to people's issues and helping them out with those, it helps you become top of mind with those you meet through these networking events. So that to me is a much more effective use of time. And you can go to sleep at night feeling really positive and good about your contributions versus I showed up just saying, what's in this for me, me, where are the leads?
That's right.
Right.
So here's what I hear you saying. So I'm going to pour into others, which keeps me top of mind, which is also known as marketing, right? It's really a marketing tool. So when people are like, I don't know why you network, it's marketing. Because it's just those little touch points, and they don't have to be like, I've got an advertisement for you, right? It's just, it's a touch point. It's it's a, hey, it's a reminder. It's a hello. It's a, here's my face. Like, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee again.
That's right. And to me, it goes back as well to, this was repeated so many times during your amazing event 2 weeks ago. The first, the inaugural Network Today event. But every single speaker on stage that day talked about Zig Ziglar's famous quote.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't that crazy?
It was awesome. It was actually interwoven through everyone's. And then the second person was like, well, I know he said, but here. And then the third person's like, I know everyone's. And by the time, right? It's like everyone's talking about this. What is it?
Yeah.
That's right. Well, reciprocity really works.
What's the
He's
quote?
put me on the.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't get the exact quote, but if you help, the more you help people get what they want, you'll get what you want.
Yeah, you can help, or you can get everything you want in this life if you can help others get what they want.
Yes.
So that goes, again, back to how you're showing up.
Right.
And what your intentions are during these networking events and pouring into people and giving and contributing, right? So
I think this is so good. So before we wrap on this, because there's a lot to wrap on, right? Before we wrap on this, what would be an example of how, when you just began networking in the DFW area, how you said, hey, I am intentionally, because obviously you're an intentional person, going to pour into events? So some action items that somebody can say, oh, okay, I could do that, right?
Oh, that's a good one. So what comes to mind is I had a goal to give a certain amount of stage presentations this year. And I was trying to get into a group to get on the calendar to be a speaker. And I just couldn't seem to do it. For whatever reason, the gatekeeper I was rubbing this person the wrong way. I couldn't figure it out. So I was going to these events. They were monthly. And at one point in time when she was wrapping up the event, she was saying how she has this dream of someday opening a cat cafe with her best friend.
Cat cafe.
Now, I'm a dog person, so I don't know what a cat cafe is. I'm also allergic to cats. So to me, that's like hell on earth, this idea. So I was like, that's interesting, cat. But I listened and I wrote a little note down. So a few days later, I went to the old internet. This is, late 90s, right?
Right.
I went to the old internet and I searched cat cafe. What is this? And I eventually stumbled upon a book. And I don't remember the exact name of the book. It was on Amazon, but it was like how to successfully open a cat cafe. It was called Drinks and Whiskers. This is all coming back to me.
Gosh, that's hilarious.
It was like $9. So I'm like, awesome. So I bought it and I wrapped it. And next time I went to that event, I left it on the desk. And within a few months, I was on the schedule.
See, it's brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah. So we should always look for ways to actively listen to what the other people in the room are saying.
Right.
and decide if there's a solution, if there's an idea, if there's an experience share we could offer to help them sort of get what they want, as Zig Ziglar talked about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great story.
Yeah. It is a great story. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you for having
a couple
me.
of things. First, we want to know a little known fact about yourself that would blow us away, that would be like, oh, no way. What would that be? Something.
Is this a podcast rated for everyone? How far down the hole do we want to go here? A little known fact, I play pickleball now.
Yeah.
I'm also obsessed with pinball.
Oh.
So I used to restore pinball machines. Since we've had kids, I haven't had a lot of time. That's just a very laborious process. But years back, I would compete, and I was a worldwide ranked pinball player.
Whoa.
So that's a little known fact.
A living, breathing pinball wizard.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right.
Not anymore.
That's outstanding.
Before kids, yeah.
That's
Have you been to the on Irving Boulevard? What's the name of that brewery? That has they have like 100.
Yeah, Cidercade.
Yeah. I've probably been to all of them.
Yes, you probably has. You probably have. Okay, so catching up with you, we want to make sure that people connect with you. So LinkedIn obviously is where we're connected.
Yeah.
You want to spell so Sean is the traditional Irish way, right?
Mm-hmm.
SEAN, but Rosensteel, very interesting.
It's confused a lot of people. So my whole life, people are like, "Oh, you're Jewish," and I'm like, "Why would you know?" Well, Rosen, a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
You can just make the assumption, but Rosensteel is actually a German name. So I'm a little bit German, mostly Irish, and I actually married a Jewish person. And I think for the first 6 months that we were dating, her whole family made that assumption. and then once I was good with everybody, we, gave them the news.
Yeah, that's right. I broke it too.
They were very open and accepting, which I appreciate.
That's so funny. So the last name, if you're looking up on LinkedIn, so it is Sean, SEAN, and it's ROSEN Steel, STEEL.
Thank you.
So there we go. So that's what you want to look him up. And do you have a website you like people to go to?
LinkedIn's probably the best. Otherwise, you can go to eosworldwide.com/that difficult name.
That's okay.
So probably LinkedIn is a safe choice.
That's right. LinkedIn, you catch him there. Oh, thank you, Sean. Can't wait to continue the conversation.
Thank you so much to both of you for having me.
All right.
Appreciate it.
And we'll be back. So this was a really pretty high level yet deep and broad conversation.
Absolutely. And Sean was the perfect guy for it. I mean, this is one of my favorite subjects when it comes to improving as a networker, the law of reciprocity. And again, it has so many ways that two ways that people go. They're either a giver or they're a taker. And Sean really helped us out on that.
That's right. And the reason I wanted to ask the questions about networkers that are struggling with referrals, right, is because those are transactional people who need to change the mindset of what reciprocity is about. And truly going to, and I know you and I both went to a recent event of Sean's and some of his other workmates or colleagues, and it was packed and happy and collaborative. And that's the kind of environment that's bred when you're in that mindset of reciprocity, don't you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, it's so important, I think, for the newbies that we're talking to on our show here, is to really understand, that they should be only talking like 20% of the time, not 80% of the time. And again, getting that truly understanding reciprocity, that they got to be a giver.
Yeah.
And that's why, again, like what Sean mentioned about, one of his top 5 books, The Go-Giver by Bob Berg, is an excellent read.
Right. Well, now, what was your big takeaway from him? The top thing that you're like, wow, that really triggered something for me.
No, I think it really he went into it right away saying, I need to give. Because again, there's just so many people I meet at networking meetings. They want to keep score, and he was adamant. Don't keep score.
Yeah.
And there's just so many people out there that we continue to meet that they want to give you one lead, or they won't give you a lead until they get something. And it's all about them and getting stuff. And Sean just made it perfectly clear, and I like the way he said it, that you've got to be a go-giver.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of people I can't say a lot of people, I think there are people who feel uncomfortable with the whole reciprocity thing because it feels like I got to give to the universe. right? So here's what triggered something for me that Sean said, and I'm really, really, really working hard on adopting this in my own life. And that was, he talked about the cat cafe, right? Because the law of reciprocity can be very small, yet very meaningful. And so listening to somebody, to your point, listening, wasn't talking, heard what she talked about with this cat cafe concept. And so then he's intentional about going back, looking up cat cafe, finds a $9 book. I mean, what does that cost you? $9 to then go create a relationship with somebody that's always going to remember the fact that you got them that book. And whether it's now or later, that it will come back to you. That book will be a reminder of the fact that you were a good listener. And you were intentional about giving into somebody's life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to find a cat cafe book. That's so great. That might be my new favorite book.
Now, how many cats do you have?
I had 4. We just lost one. But 3 and 2 dogs.
Okay.
So I'm both. Like, I love all anything furry. So dog and cat cafe. Maybe we could do that. So that's right. The fur cafe.
But again, good point. Just to summarize what Sean said is it really kind of embeds in my philosophy now is that, be the go-giver and then teach that to other people so that you create that positive environment so that you can attract people to your community.
That's right.
And that's a great way to build your community.
Yeah.
So you're not expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
And it's such a great feeling when you're giving to people.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's exactly right. So adopt reciprocity into your vocabulary and into your networking life. And we'll be back. You're smart. You're watching this. But did you know that 2 out of every 3 Americans will deal with a legal issue this year? Half of those will spend 13 days working on those issues. At Empowered Advantage, we help with the stuff of life. Letter M as in marvelous, poweredadvantage.com. All right, reciprocity. I think it's going to be an ongoing subject. We can have so many little mini silos that
right.
can support the subject.
You listen to a new one, you say, oh, yeah, I'm going to add that to my list. Well, now we're in our 24th episode, and we got 24 silos that we got to keep on working within the system.
I think it's 25.
25. Oh, we're at 25. Oh, my gosh.
It might be 26. I don't know. We're losing track. But
25.
Many. More than 2 dozen. So.
But, Sean was great.
Yeah.
And a great example. And again, it tied in with my gratitude for him giving us that great lead. But I wanted to emphasize to Sean too is that, he didn't have to worry about it because again, there was no expectations for me helping him build his business, introducing him to people. I love doing that. That gives me energy. Yeah. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. So, and I'm reminded that when I'm tired, when I'm just exhausted, right? Reciprocity, and this is my word of the week, is exhilarating.
Great word.
It's exhilarating.
Yes.
I think it's one of those onomatopoeia words that kind of is what it sounds like it is. So I'm exhilarated when the reciprocity process happens because it does. But you have to stick with it long enough for it to happen.
Right. No,
and not that, I'm quitting that networking group or I'm not going to see that person anymore because I'm not getting anything back.
Right.
I mean, that's just a terrible attitude. So,
well, again, like I said earlier, I mean, it's changing the networking mindset.
Yeah.
Now I understand, and I get so exhilarated from helping people. That my mindset before was always. I think that's when I did have kind of a negative thing about networking, where it was I didn't get anything back from that person, and it makes you feel awful and so on. I didn't want to be that person anymore.
Good. No more gimme. My name is Jimmy. Yeah. No. So where do we take this? What's next?
Well, I think, if we've got to kind of summarize what we've been talking about here today is, we've got to, I think one of the most important things is as you're meeting new people out and you want to get a connection, just be the first to give something to them. Yeah. And again, understand it doesn't always have to be a lead. Yeah. It can just be a virtual introduction, a connection on your LinkedIn, that type of thing. Give them some advice.
Yeah.
whatever. So I think people they panic about this giving thing by saying it's always got to be a lead.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
And it doesn't. And I'll tell you, remember Cheryl Smith? You were telling me the story about that, right? You were telling her about your curling and she says, oh my gosh, my kids have wanted to curl. So there is a way you give. That's a reciprocity recipe.
Yes.
Right? So
there you go.
So,
the next one, by getting that, changing that mindset is that you get that feel good attitude.
Yeah.
You get exhilarated about this. And I think that, again, is just so important that if you really practice this, that you're going to, get your energy level up, you're going to feel exhilarated, and you're going to feel good about yourself. And then again, good things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. And to number 3, it's like, don't expect anything in return.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to when you're in business, when you're working for somebody who's got expectations of hitting budget or whatever. I get that it has to happen, but don't let it be at the expense of pouring into others by building those true, genuine relationships.
Yeah. And Cheryl, by doing that, it's going to take you a while. And then you'll see what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
It will happen, guys. Don't give up. Stay the main course here. Keep on giving, and you'll find that, boom, one day it'll come back.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got some action items to leave you with, 3 of them.
Well, I think the first one here I wrote down was, always when you're dealing with your networking team, follow up with a thank you. Whether it be through an email or go that extra step by sending them a thank you card. I think that's really something that you put into your daily routine, where you want to thank people that it helped you out that day, where you met them for the first time. And then again, the extra touch with a thank you card.
Yeah. So I met a gal named Sarah and Ryan today. She's who I was on the phone with when you were kind of like walking through the room, and I'm like waving. I'm like, I'm on a call, and I don't know who she is. I met her at one of Randall Holmes' events.
Right.
Other than she seemed amazing, and she works on a nonprofit. But she said, "Oh, hey, I'm headed home right now. I'm going to go grab my stack of thank yous."
Wow.
This is Friday afternoon. She says, this is what I do. And I put a blanket over me on this rainy day, and I write them out. She said, I've got about 50.
Oh, man.
I know.
Wow. Wow.
That's a lot of thank yous. All right. So number 2.
The other thing too is with people, once you get to know them, it is good to follow up, whether it be just a virtual introduction, a LinkedIn connection, some advice, even a lead.
Yeah.
But, follow up, do it. Don't just get to know somebody and don't do anything about it. You've got to do something, especially for the people that that you want in your community, and build that. So I think it's important that you follow up with something of value.
Yeah. Yeah. And to that point too, also be mindful when somebody's pouring into your life without any get. Right.
Yeah.
So sometimes I forget the people who are closest to me, you, Ron, Dan, and I. So I think, man, we get so close to each other. Sometimes we forget all the giving that's coming to us.
Yes.
So I need to be mindful that, the reciprocity has
that's a great
too.
point.
So number 3.
Number 3, the last point I think that add to your action is be the go-giver. And I know you've probably heard that expression before, because it's kind of a number 1 New York Times bestseller. Just
a few times, yeah.
So Bob Berg wrote great story, but again, it practices the principle of the law of reciprocity. If you give, it will come back. And he just emphasizes, don't be a taker, be a giver.
Yeah, yeah. So can't go wrong when you're a giver.
Yeah.
And the law of reciprocity means that boomerang effect, it will come right back at you if you stick at it long enough. So thank you for joining us. I hope you've made notes of these action items. Certainly we want to hear from you. We want you to subscribe. Go to networktodaydfw.com and hit the subscribe button. We've got more great shows coming up. And we're going to do a big recap at the end of this year too.
Yes.
So I'm so super excited about what's happening in 2023. Oh my gosh.
It's going to be fun.
I know it is. It is. So that's just a teaser. More fun stuff, amazing stuff coming up because of you, right?
Yep.
Because of you, because you've been a part of our lives. And now we're hearing from you. And I think that's going to make us all better.
Yeah. We all want to, goal for 2023 is we all want to become better networkers so that we can, again, help our community, whether it be through giving advice, support, or giving them referrals.
Yeah. Don't forget to connect with Rob Bliss on LinkedIn, me as well, Cheryl Powers, S in Austin, Cheryl with an S. And Here we go.
I think it's time to wrap up with with our motto.
Cheers, I know. So, Network Today, where we take you from meeting people to
making money.
All right. Cheers, Bucky.
This has been a Purple Cow production.